Hey friends, today I'm going to talk to you about vocabulary that we learn in a new language, and especially about words and expressions that we need to learn after we've already learned some basic survival phrases. I'm really curious about that because I plan to start learning a new language in the near future, and I'd like to share with you some thoughts and ideas about what I usually do when I start and continue to learn vocabulary in a foreign language. So, what's the first thing we need to learn from the very beginning? Of course, there are some basic, very useful phrases like hello and goodbye, my name is, I am years old, I study or I work, where is the toilet? How do you say that word in your language? Also numbers, days of week, etc., etc. And although all these survival phrases are indeed very useful and important, they don't give us enough tools for having real meaningful conversations or to read books, write letters or comments. And the question is, how do we expand our vocabulary? What we should learn next? I think each of us has our own answer to this question. It depends on the language and also on our needs, our language learning goals. I learn languages mainly as a hobby, to read books, to watch movies, to communicate with people in their native languages, and to understand the world better. And I don't need to study languages to pass any exam. So with each language that I learn, I begin with learning vocabulary that is very important for me personally. First of all, I always learn words and expressions that I use every day in my own native language, so that I know how they sound in my target languages. For example, I live in a village. I love animals, farm life, gardening, and I'd like to talk about all of that with my foreign friends, to share my experience and to ask for the advice. So the first words for me to learn would be a greenhouse, chickens, eggs, milk, some names of vegetables and fruits, like dwarf tomato varieties, for example. Also, I love horses, and my first words in any language would definitely have to include horse, horseback riding, bridle, saddle, trotters, thoroughbred, and some other horse breeds. And of course, I love to read. All words are related to books like pages, front cover, back cover, author, writer, the names of various genres. All these words are very important and interesting for me. And also, I like to knit, and it's very important for me to know some specific how some specific words sound in the language I'm learning. Words like knitting needles, yarn, wool, patterns, etc., etc. So that when I see tutorial videos in that language, I can understand them better. And that knowledge is indeed very useful, because some years ago I learned how to knit socks only by watching some tutorial videos in Spanish here on YouTube. So I think you get the idea. I always choose to learn the words that I normally use in my everyday life in my native language. Actually, I don't even learn them, because if we are really interested in the subject, the necessary words always come in mind, and our brain grabs them once and for all. And I'm always very excited to get to know these words as soon as possible, also to compare how they sound in other languages I'm learning, and to feel the differences and similarities. And I try never to learn words without a context, because a list of word pairs that only gives you the word and the translation, that list has never worked for me. In my native language Russian we have a saying «в одно ухо влетает, из другого вылетает», which means it goes in one ear and out the other. And that is exactly what happens when I try to learn words without any real context, any real life situations. So if we are not obliged to learn a specific vocabulary to prepare for an exam or test, I think at the very beginning of our language learning journey, we should mainly focus on the things we are really interested in, like our hobbies or maybe our work, and the things we really want to know as much as possible about. And when we eagerly start to search the internet for this very valuable and important for us information, or discuss it with our tutors or foreign friends, and when we really want to know, to understand this information 100%, in this very case, we can definitely memorize that new vocabulary faster and expand it gradually in a more natural way. That's what I usually do when I start and continue to learn vocabulary in a new language, and it helps me a lot to stay motivated, to learn more and more every day, and not to get bored in the process. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys. Please write in the comments, how do you learn vocabulary in a new language? What words do you usually learn after you already learned some first primary survival phrases? And do these words vary from language to language you're learning if you're learning several languages, or they are always the same words? Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!